Solving linear systems by substitution. So our question says, solve the following by substitution. And we're given two equations. We have 3x plus y equals -2 and 5x minus 2y equals -18. So these are two equations of lines. And solving means we're looking for the point of intersection between the two lines. There are a couple of different ways to find point of intersection. One of the ways we've already talked about is solving by graphing. And substitution is just another way of doing it using algebra instead of making a graph. So when I solve by substitution, what we want to do is take one of the equations and substitute it into the other one. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is take my two equations and I'm going to write them separately side by side. So I have 3x plus y equals -2, so I'm going to write that one down. And then I have 5x minus 2y equals -18. And I'm going to write that down just beside it. So what you want to do with substitution is you want to take one of the two equations and rearrange it to either get x or y all by itself. So when I'm trying to decide which of the two equations to do that with, I try to look for an x or a y that does not have a coefficient, which means there's no number in front of it. So if I look at the first equation, I notice that there's a y that doesn't have a number in front of it. If I look at this equation, I notice that both the x and the y have coefficients. So what I'm going to do is take the first equation and I'm going to rearrange to isolate for y. So how am I going to do that? I need to get the 3x to the other side. So I'm going to take 3x away from both sides. So I'm going to be left on this side with just y. Now here I have -2 take away 3x. -2 does not have an x, so they are not like terms, which means I cannot combine them. So I'm just going to get -2 take away 3x. So what I want to do, this is the substitution part, is I'm going to take this equation here, y equals -2 minus 3x, and in the other equation, everywhere we see a y, we're going to put in -2 take away 3x. We're going to substitute in the value of y, which is -2 take away 3x. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to leave the 5x, but in place of y, I'm going to put in -2 take away 3x. And now if I look at this equation, all I have are numbers and x's. I don't have any y's left, which means I now have an equation that we can solve. So I do notice that there are brackets here. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute the -2 into the bracket. So I have 5x. -2 times -2 is +4. And then -2 times -3 is +6x. And that still equals -18. So what I'm going to do is look at the terms on the left side of my equal sign and see if I have any like terms that I can add together. And I notice that I have two terms with x's. I have 5x plus 6x. So 5x plus 6x is 11x. And then I still have that +4, and it equals -18. So this is just an equation now to solve. So I want to isolate the x and get everything to the other side. So we're going to start by eliminating that +4 by subtracting 4. So I get 11x equals -18. Take away 4 is -22. And then to finish isolating the x, we're going to divide by 11. And -22 divided by 11 is -2. So these two lines are going to meet, and the x part of the coordinate where they meet is going to be -2. So I still need to figure out what the y part is. So what I'm going to do is come back over to this equation here, And everywhere I see an x, we're now going to put in -2. So I have y equals -2 minus 3 times, and instead of x, we're going to put in our answer of -2. And then this is just order of operations. I'm going to multiply first. So I leave that -2 alone. -3 times -2 is +6. And then -2 plus 6 is +4. Which means that these two lines intersect, and they intersect at the point -2, +4. So the solution is the point -2, +4. And that's solving by substitution.